Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by three very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and with me, as always,
shivering in his little booties, it's Ben Vanel. Fuck, it's a cold day in Melbourne.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be a timber right now.
Oh.
Or my name isn't Adam Knox. So it is Adam Knox because I wouldn't want to be a timber right now.
Yeah.
Because they'd be
sure.
shivering. It's a cold day.
Yeah.
I reckon it's the coldest day of the year.
I don't think there'd be any data available to be able to check. They should start some kind of bureau to focus on meteorology, which is the study, I assume, of asteroids.
And
comets.
Yeah.
anytime they do like that, there'll be like an Instagram post from like one of the news accounts that's like, Melbourne shivered through its coldest day on record. Mm-hmm. But then the photo will be like of the Yarra with like a beautiful shining sun. You know what I mean? It never looks that cold in the photo that they use.
We don't get snow. Like, and it's not really that cold. Like, worldwide. Right?
My car was like frosted over this morning.
Our
I've never seen that before.
temperatures don't go super low.
No.
But the chill factor gets you. We get those Antarctic winds.
We do.
Yeah.
That real penguin shit.
Well, yeah, our feels like is often quite cold. Like, I think this morning it was 1 degree, but people were saying, like, it says feels like -5 and stuff like that.
Well, facts don't care about your feelings. It's warm, actually.
It's a warm 1 degree Celsius.
Well, I was just on the beach in Koh Samui doing some shows over there, and I want to say shout out to... I have to assume a listener of this who I was walking along the beach and a man who was lying on a sun lounge yelled out at me, "Hey, Tommy, have you played Helldivers 2 yet?" Like, yeah, mate, I brought the PlayStation 5 over, got it rigged up to this Thai TV, absolutely blown it out with the HDMI cord.
Huge waste of time to bring your PlayStation 5 over to play. Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
I was thinking Hellblade. Fuck. Actually, I'm an idiot.
But yeah, we haven't. How long's it been since we were in the room together? Couple of weeks.
Couple of 2 weeks.
About a fortnight. Gamers will love that.
Yeah, a few things have happened in the meantime.
Yeah.
Few things have happened.
While you were away, we watched all those press conference type things.
Yeah, we recorded last week.
We did record, for sure.
We didn't We're making it sound like we haven't done the show for like a month. But yeah, we caught up on all the Summer Games Fest stuff.
Yep.
There's also Steam Next Fest is on now, so there's like demos out.
For this podcast, it's been my favorite type of business, which is as usual.
Yeah.
I don't like business that is peculiar.
No.
Peculiar business is frightening.
I don't like mixing it with pleasure.
Okay.
Or draw the line between the two.
See, what I call this thing that we're doing now, I call it funny business.
Yeah.
That's why he's the leader.
And
That's
once we,
do you reckon Mark Twain was an asshole, and that's where that phrase comes from? Never the twain shall meet. You just don't want to meet the guy.
Well, he always had a funny little quip for you, didn't he?
He would have been always on.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't want to meet him, because he's going to roast you.
He's going to roast you. He's like the Don Rickles of the 1800s, I'm going
to
say.
You see him, you run into him at the train station, you're like, oh, here we go. And he's like, looks like it's a stupid cunt clock. You're like, oh, fuck, how does he do it?
Jeez.
How does he come up with this stuff?
The train always arrives early when you're late and late when you're early, doesn't it? Like, all right, Mark.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Jesus.
Just want to have a beer, mate. Fucking calm
This
down.
guy's always on. Do you think that's it? He's the original, he's always on guy.
Yeah.
Him and like Oscar Wilde.
Oh my
God.
You know, I have nothing to declare but my genius. Hurry up.
Yeah. You're going to get pulled into that little fucking room and they're going to search you, mate.
Yeah, you'd like to think there's a full cavity search after that.
Oh, yeah.
There'd have to have been.
Yeah.
Even though probably not. Maybe that was the first one. It was like, you know what?
We need to invent a new, more invasive way.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come through here. They're going to be a bit sus. We should start to be a little bit more discerning with who we just let straight through the gate.
It's all poems up there.
I've also been imagining him doing this at the airport, but
they can't have existed
No.
back then.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess it was just like the border, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's ruined my entire life.
Yeah, I was imagining airport too. I was imagining it's like him and like in the real sort of vibe of like the end of Snatch.
Yes.
Yeah, don't go to London.
Don't go to England. So it's like, yeah, it was a bunch of smash cuts of like Mark Twain's passport getting stamped.
Mark Twain's been on this huge odyssey to try and get this really good fountain pen or whatever Oscar Wilde would want.
It's him getting off the blimp. Anything to declare?
Yeah, so as we say, a lot of stuff happening in video games. Oscar Wilde, Mark Twain, they've all put out new...
All the greats.
Yep.
The Mark Twain of video games, Nintendo,
Yes.
I guess.
Sure.
Nah. Nintendo would be like probably
The
like
Shakespeare?
a fun kids author.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like
I
one
thought
of
he meant
people...
of consistent quality, but yeah, you're right. Maybe like a Enid
Shakespeare's
Blyton.
not appealing to kids.
A
Too
Paul
confusing.
Jennings?
Yeah.
A Paul Jennings.
The Paul
Yeah.
Jennings of video games, Nintendo.
Those,
They do have a lot of stuff where you're like, how do they come up with this?
Yeah.
the Graham base of games have
Oh.
Yes.
themselves had, conveniently for us, a direct that didn't take place immediately after we recorded.
No.
Yes.
They announced it and put it out in perfect timing for us.
Yeah.
To the point where, boys, I watched it.
Yeah.
I stayed up to watch it.
Yeah.
Until I got bored. I will be honest. And then I watched the rest in the morning.
It started airing right after I took off. I thought I might be able to watch it on the plane on in-flight Wi-Fi, but that was not working. So I watched the whole thing in the Uber on the way home from the airport.
Fuck yeah.
It's, hey, however you watched it, you got the same information, which is that a surprising amount of stuff got announced.
Yeah.
And shown.
I had absolutely... There's a time where a direct being announced that I was not able to watch live would have sent me up the wall.
Right.
I was like wanting to watch it on the plane mostly for the novelty.
Yep.
But when the internet wasn't working, I was like, oh, well, there's going to be nothing in this one. This is this is
I'll miss
already...
their 15-minute deep dive into a 3DS game from 2013 that they're re-releasing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
They'd said, there wasn't going to be any information about the Switch successor. The Switch is already like well over... outstaying its welcome.
Sure.
They're
Kind
ramping
of at
down
this point.
production on them
They-
even,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
like don't have a huge... I mean, every business has an incentive to sell their products. That to me is business as usual, which, as I say, I'm a fan of.
Yes.
But the Switch is in a limbo now because everyone knows there's a Switch successor. They've said it. It's
Yeah.
coming out next year, clearly.
Rather than limbo, more palliative care, maybe. It's
Yeah.
winding down to the inevitable.
Well, and the story was that they were wanting to put out the successor this year, but they were giving
Yeah.
it a bit more time to work on the software. So I kind of thought,
Yeah.
well, what, like, given that that's kind of been pushed back kind of last minute.
The calendar must be empty,
Yeah,
right?
I kind of wondered why they were even putting I was like, what can they possibly have? And
Well-
it turns out a couple of pretty good things.
A few things.
In total, about, 35 things?
Yeah, I wrote them all on the board before. I've been on some new medication. I wrote them
I'm
all
going
on
to take
the
a
board.
photo of this just for our
Knox
socials.
has written everything up there, and it's like weirdly
Also-
the one day that I've not worn my glasses when I was like, oh well, that won't matter. I'm just looking at Ben and Adam, like, what am I really needing to read off in the distance? And like, good lord,
I'm in full squint mode. It doesn't matter because there is a surprising amount. Like, not everything that they showed was obviously like some massive.
No,
No.
I was going to say, yeah, the totality is high, but the percentage of quality, for me at least, was quite low. But they still have thrown a lot of stuff at the wall.
yeah.
There were three
Speaking
things
of
that
throwing
barely
stuff
see
at the
it.
wall.
there were three things in there at least
Yeah.
that I
Yep.
was like, I did not expect that at all, and
Yeah.
I am interested in that.
Yeah.
A surprising amount of 2025 releases showing up for the ones that had dates, but
Well, the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible, so hey,
we assume so. They still haven't said,
It
but
better be.
it seems as though that's their plan.
I'm marching down there to
Yeah.
Kyoto.
It better be so that I can play Funko Fudge, Funko Fuji on Funko Fusion.
6. So let's go chronologically.
My handwriting isn't necessarily improved from but like I've done my best, and apparently handwriting, you know, those, what are they called when it's someone who reads, I mean, everyone reads handwriting, but the person who specifically can tell something about a person, like a profiler from handwriting.
Sure, like a
Oh, yeah.
forensic handwriting
Forensic
expert,
handwriting
I love
expert.
those
Yeah.
guys. Anytime you see one of
Yeah.
them rock up on a true crime doco, you're like,
Oh.
here we go.
Yeah.
Fucking bring in the
First
eggheads.
season of The Jinx,
yeah.
Exactly.
absolute star.
That's
Yeah.
the-
Star-making performance.
Yeah.
That's got to be like the the tentpole sort of
Yeah.
Citizen Kane of that industry.
Yeah.
But that's such a funny, but that's such a funny one where you look at those two envelopes side by side, and any idiot on the street goes,
Yeah.
"That's the same writing," because he's
Yeah.
got the most bizarre writing style. This guy coming in and he's like got the fucking microscope and the
Yeah.
computer program. He's like, when we analysed it, we realised that yes, they were written by the same
He
person.
misspelled the same word twice.
But I'm an idiot off the street who's spent a lot of time doing a really weird specific job. And anyway, they say in that field, apparently, the neater your handwriting, the more likely to be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Serial killers
Interesting.
typically have neat handwriting. So me, no deaths
Yeah.
on my record.
Mothers, let
maybe-
your daughters roam free. Knox is on the street.
Sure. I'm not going to
You're not-
save
'cause you're not a
anyone either,
killer.
probably.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's what
But I'm also not a hero. Like, I'm not going to be able to swoop down and protect people that easily. I can't
No.
fly.
Well, I mean,
No.
I will say the first three letters on this first word up here, you've really gone big, and then you've done. I love a bit of handwriting where you see the person start to realise, I'm not leaving myself enough room here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, ironically, the writing on the wall, and I need to shrink it right down.
It is funny. I would question our judgment as well in pointing out how many things I've written on there and then spending this much time knowing there's that much to cover.
This is so us.
On
this is perfectly us.
We're so back.
This is like when we went to the Nintendo Switch hands-on event and we spent 15 minutes talking about a helicopter that we saw out the window.
that was
Yeah,
fucking
it
sick,
was
though. I
fucking
still
cool.
remember that.
Yeah.
It looked like it was flying towards a building like the Matrix.
Yeah.
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 If only
Big
we
kid.
could have made out the writing on the side of that helicopter. We would have had a full episode.
I'm of the opinion that we just dive in chronological order. We
I think-
recreate the experience of
Yeah.
seeing the direct because they came out of the gates with an announcement of a new game that isn't a re-release or a remaster or
Yeah.
any of that, and I flat out didn't expect even one of those.
No, me too. Yeah, I expected all third-party stuff,
Right.
maybe some DLC, and then a port.
I was thinking, as I think a lot of people were, like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, Wii U ports, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But we got Mario and Luigi Brothership first, which is a new entry in the Mario and Luigi series of games, which are like the sort of cousin of Paper Mario.
Yeah,
Your RPG, they're turn-based combat? Is
That's-
that-
yeah, turn-based, but with a lot of the like real-time
Yes.
kind of timing stuff.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is that the studio that makes these games, I think, went bankrupt or something like last year.
Oh.
Right.
So this was a true surprise because I think a lot of people had assumed that this series was sort of done or in limbo. So I don't know who is
in palliative care.
Yeah,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I don't know who specifically is developing this one, but these games have also traditionally been just on the handheld. So I think this looks great. The style of this is like a kind of cell shady. It's cool seeing this style, this very, even by Mario game standards, very cartoony style of Mario game in this kind of definition, which they don't normally work in.
Well, and that's sort of the theme of their first-party Nintendo games that they will be going forward. What they're doing with these Switch announcements as well, kind of.
Yeah.
Because like they're good at utilizing the very limited at this point hardware. They
Yes.
have
Yeah,
to-
yes.
I didn't love the look of this one personally for whatever reason. I did think at first that it was like a remaster of the Game Boy Advance one, which is
Right.
the one of those that I've played. There are a few more on the DS, and then it's been
Right.
pretty dormant for a while, I think.
Yeah, they did like a Paper Mario crossover
That's right.
one, and I think the last couple have been. This does seem like a bit of a not simplifying, but a kind of like back to basics kind of approach to it. Like they're kind of viewing it as a bit of like
Yes.
maybe a reset of like
Right.
this will bring new people in that have never played one of these because they didn't have a Game Boy Advance or a 3DS or whatever.
I think that vibe is part of why I also was like off on the visual style, and it's probably unfair of me because I assumed it was a remaster of the Game Boy Advance one,
Right.
Right.
like that Mario and Donkey Kong game recently.
yes. I like
but
it
it's
though.
not.
Like
It's a brand
the
new thing.
cell shadedy thing, and it looks like in the combat there's like not quite to this extent, but a bit of like almost Persona style stuff in the sort of like dynamic, like
right.
the way the
Yep.
battles are unfolding. Like
And same as Super Paper Mario, Super Mario RPG.
Wow.
And that is the full title. Super Mario RPG, where it's like different attacks that you're doing. It looked like there were team up things you got to press A then
yeah.
B and remember the sort of
Yeah.
sequence for this one.
I was kind of
Which is how
hoping
the
that
others
this
went.
was the case where it did seem like them re-releasing Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door in a pretty within like 6 months of each other. I my kind of hope was that they were sort of like laying the groundwork to kind of refamiliarize people with Mario RPGs and sort of set themselves up for a brand new entry. And this one looks cool. This is out in November.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Brothership. As well as was Nintendo World Championships NES edition this year?
This is out soon. This had been announced already in one of their weird styles of just like a tweet in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Right.
But this is out like start of July, I think.
Yeah, July 18.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is like a kind of like that NES remix game that was on the Wii U, which I kind of wish they were just sort of doing that. It's kind of like a speed run focused collection of a whole bunch of classic like segmented bits of NES games, and it's like clear here's the time to beat in this level. And
because Nintendo World Championship is a thing they used to do in like the 80s.
And
there was a cartridge that's like one of the most valuable video games now because it was only produced to be run at these things is my understanding of it, I think.
Yep.
And it's kind of cool in like a dumb Smash Brothers trophy level of Nintendo going like, remember this from the 80s? And we're like, no, but cool. Mario and Luigi really took me by surprise. Then there's a few things here that Fairy Tail 2.
Yeah, that's a Koei Tecmo game.
There's a few that will, because like Fantasia Neo Dimension is a weird one where Fantasia has been on phones since like 2021. Nobuo Uematsu does the music.
And Hironobu Sakaguchi.
So it's got like this weird pedigree to it, and I don't know much about it, to be honest, because it's a like phone game, and unfairly or not, I've ignored it. But it's like, I think just a new version of that port-ish style.
I think
similar to later on they showed Hello Kitty Island Adventure, which is 2025, which is odd. Like there's some stuff like that really surprised me with like the 2025 of them.
I guess anything that's like it feels weird to announce it for the Switch in this thing when
as
by
a
then
console
we
exclusive
moved on.
Yes. A timed console exclusive, I will say.
Timed console exclusive of mobile port was the sort of level I was expecting them to get up to for this. So they're adding basketball to Switch Sports, which is cool. There were a couple of unnecessary but cool updates. Disney Illusion Island as well is getting a free update too.
Yeah,
a
whole new map, right?
Yeah,
like
that
a whole
game
new
was
little
like
thing.
Weirdly better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Not amazing, but kind of cool. And stuff like this, like the basketball, just adding content for free later on.
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing to do.
Among Us is also among those getting updates.
Is it though? Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the fucking whatever. And then in between those, this game called, I suppose it's Mio. I've not heard someone say it.
Yeah.
MIO, Memories in Orbit. I thought the style of this looked awesome.
Yeah, beautiful watercolor sort of
really
thing.
good. Like a sort of sketch look is not a new thing, but the way they were doing it really fucking popped for me.
Yeah.
Where like the shading, the line shading on it looked sick.
Yeah, and this is like a 2D puzzle platformer, I assume.
It looks like an action sort of platform. There were some bosses, maybe a bit.
Oh, okay. I missed that,
It looked like some stuff that's been trod before, but beautiful ground is fun to tread again.
And that's a 2025er.
Yeah. I thought it looked beautiful. Though.
Yeah.
Go have a look at that one if you haven't seen it. Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports.
Speaking of looking beautiful, this for me was anything but. I hated how this looked.
Yeah,
it looked so
It
cheap.
did look cheap,
I was
weirdly.
catching up on this. I didn't watch this live. I was just scrolling through an article.
Yeah.
And getting to the headline of this. I've been rewatching a lot of Looney Tunes stuff recently, and I was like, awesome. This could be really fun. And then it, like, bad trailer for it that doesn't actually show any gameplay, and it's got that. It's kind of it's sort of going for the same look as the Mario and Luigi game with the cell shading thing, but in this weird way where like almost as if the colors have gone over the line. Like the lines are inconsistent.
The lines are inconsistent. It's like clipping with itself, basically. It's overlapping with its own models and stuff.
It looked odd.
Yeah,
in just
for
cuts
sure.
it like not. It's you know, if there was in-game stuff, you could maybe be a bit like, oh, okay, but yeah, it looks, and it just kind of looks boring, and the the like arenas for the sports just kind of look like they're in these like drab sort of like environments. Yeah.
There's certainly a couple of those that, again, though, having this other stuff in it where I was actually very surprised by how much it was. I thought it would be wall-to-wall Wacky World of Sports level stuff.
Right. Yep.
So I'm willing to just absolutely, wacky as it may be, let them have that one. Include as well as Farmagia, which looked like a Pal World thing.
It looked exactly like Pal World.
Where did you go, John Farmagia?
Yeah, weird.
Oh, yeah, very odd to me that Nintendo. I assume they have feelings about Pal World.
Yeah.
And then this thing's seemingly, I mean, it's coming out in August or something. It is
November. But
November.
It looks like a clone, right?
Yeah. Which, cool. Go for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
and Funko Fusion is a similar thing that we can gloss over. It's certainly not for us.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But if you're a Funko head, then I'm sorry about how your eyes look. Donkey Kong Country Returns is getting a port.
Yes.
Yep.
This was a Wii game. I believe one of the Wii games that I did actually own and play. It was good. It's a good game.
It's great. It's, again, with their ports and stuff, this is like one of those like annoyingly weird inconsistencies of like dropping this now is so like this is true like last 6 months of the console. Like I think a lot of people would have loved if they had dropped this, you know, around the same time when they ported Tropical Freeze and then just wait this long to drop the one before it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even say that Tropical Freeze at the price it was at the time should have come with both of these together.
That would have
been-
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Or do more of like what they've been doing, like with the Pikmin games, the 1 and 2, just kind of putting them on the e-store.
Right.
Like you don't need to have it be a big like, hey, this is out in 4 months, like they did with Metroid Prime
Unless
1.
you're trying to plug up a big gap, I suppose.
Sure.
But they
Yeah.
did the same thing with this at the end of the 3DS's life too. This specific game
Right.
added a
Yes.
couple of levels to it, and this is the port of that version with those levels,
Right.
Yes.
but with HD graphics. And it's a great game. Like
Yeah.
I played that one as well, and I've never played Tropical Freeze still, but Country Returns.
Tropical Freeze. You'll fucking love Tropical Freeze.
I should probably do the both as one pack that cost me twice as much as a new game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder.
that's
Surely this is
exaggeration.
not being released for like, you know, full price. This is going to be.
It'll probably be one of their like $70 type of ones,
Yeah.
which is. Yeah, anyway, we've had that discussion a million times.
'Cause I
and
feel
let's
the
have it
same
again
way.
right now.
Yeah.
It's too much money.
I feel the same way about Luigi's Mansion 2. I remember liking it on the 3DS. I'm interested because it felt like a very, very handheld game. Like it was very segmented. So I'm interested to see if they've done anything to kind of make it feel a little less like that. I'm looking forward to playing this again, but yeah, I kind of think at the point that you're porting this one over, just put the first one on. Like, it's annoyingly inconsistent to like have like 2/3 of a franchise all exist on the one. Like, you're so close to just having like the complete library on your one account. Like, I don't know. It's kind of it bugs me a little bit.
It's odd, and like having those Pikmins all kind of there and ready to go got me into the Pikmin verse.
Yeah.
Right.
And I loved that experience of going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, boys, another logical step in porting an old franchise.
1, 2, 3, right?
Well, all at the same time, or split into weirdly different releases.
If they were like old games, like the Dragon Quest games or something,
for example,
if they were going to come out, I'd put them out as a group of, especially if the first 3 are sort of a trilogy about the one character.
Right, and they're all super old games that, you know, if you're going to remake one of them, you got to remake all of them.
And they've been remade before too, like in different styles. So I put out 1, 2, and 3, but Square Enix is putting Dragon Quest out in machete order. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D is coming out later this year, and they look cool.
They do look cool, and I think
it's Octopath Traveler style, right? It's,
they're
Live Alive.
The sprites are like weirdly too detailed for me. They're like a little tall looking or something. It's such a minor quibble, but there's something. But yeah, it's in that Octopath style.
This is one of those weird ones that they like announced ages ago that they were working on, and then it's been MIA for quite a while. And I think this, like, it was originally just meant to be like, they were just thinking like, we'll
just 3.
remake 3, or we'll re-release 3 because that's one that people have a lot of affection for. And then I think that the more that they worked on it and they saw how cool it was looking, so I believe that 1 and 2 are going to be a double
Yes.
pack.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
When they eventually do come out.
that's exactly what I've seen too. That they were just doing 3, and then they were like, "Oh shit, this is cool. I wonder if we could put 1 and 2 out as well." Started working that later, and they're just clearly putting them out in the order that they're kind of.
And then,
ready.
like now that we've
Yeah.
got the engine and everything. Like,
Also, 3 is a prequel to 1 and 2.
right.
In chronological the timeline, so it does
Okay.
make some sense once you know, but before
Yeah.
you do, especially with the term HD 2D like in the title,
Yeah.
is funny to me.
This was like a thing that was like people basically knew it was going to be announced here, and the fact that they were doing 1 and 2 as well was very heavily rumored
Very
to the
out
point
there. Right,
of
okay.
basically
Yeah.
being fact. But I thought the way that they actually did it was really cool, where they ended the trailer for 3 on that artwork of the main
Yes.
character kind of looking out over the valley, and then did the sort of
Pan
slow
away.
zoom out to show the other 2 main characters. I thought that was like a cool,
Yeah.
elegant way of doing it.
It
Fucking
looks-
artwork is incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's so beautiful.
It looked a bit that pan out thing, like you see those videos of like what if this movie was shot vertically and they like AI fill in the
yeah,
rest.
yeah.
It looked a lot
Yeah.
like one of those of
Yeah.
like historical photos, and then like, and look what was over here as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 is out this year,
Yeah.
and then 1 plus 2 is out next year.
That's right. 3's out November this year. Yeah.
3, and I think like 3 and I think 6 are the 2 that people are like, these are the best ones of the whole,
Right.
like 11.
I remember going into it once because I've never really been deep into a Dragon Quest hole. But the like 4, they've all been ported, I'm pretty sure, to English. But like 4 is weird because there are like side conversations you have with your characters in it that are great, apparently, that aren't in the version they put out on the 3DS or the DS, I think,
right.
actually, which
Right.
was the only version. But then there's a mobile version that does have them, but it kind of sucks in other ways.
Right.
So I kind of hope they go do the rest as well.
Definitive port.
4
Western
through 6
version.
or whatever
Yeah,
as
all
well.
the ones that existed in pixel art.
Yeah.
Do Final Fantasies again. Why not? Just
Yeah.
fucking keep the wheel turning.
Yes.
But because that art style does look cool for
Yeah.
that type of NES era game.
Yeah.
Something called the New Denper Men that I wrote down. Don't remember shit about, but
It's
Yeah.
like weird, sort of like it's like an Animal Crossing kind of like life sim thing.
oh sure, there were a couple of those as well,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
Hello Kitty, and then later on Tales of the Shire, of the
Yes.
Lord of the Rings
Which
sort of homemaking game.
Had been announced already. I definitely we'd
right.
seen this before. That it's Animal Crossing in the Shire.
Sure.
Demperman is free, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
it might be like an online. I don't know.
Free
Maybe.
or free or
Yeah.
Denper Men.
Yeah.
And then another little surprise for me, I don't know if this had been announced before, something called Metal Slug Attack Reloaded.
Yeah, I was not familiar with this.
Certainly that Reloaded implies that it must have been around for a bit, but it's like a Metal Slug graphics and world, like tower
characters.
defense game.
Yeah.
that I think is out today.
Yeah,
It was
it
one of
is,
those
yeah.
like, and go have a go of it.
Yeah.
Go fuck off and get on the eShop.
Fuck off
Yeah.
and
Leave us
play some
alone.
whatever Metal Slug is.
Oh, by the way, just
It
quickly,
looks cool.
did you see before, like the day before the Direct, Miyamoto got on the Nintendo Japan Twitter account
No.
to announce the Japanese release date of the next Mario Brothers movie.
Oh.
But there's like some weird thing where they're not allowed to have their own personal accounts. Like they have to tweet from the
Right.
company account. So the tweet just starts with Miyamoto here.
Well, that I love that about the first one as well. Where to me, I don't remember his name, but I guess it was the president. What's the name of the Nintendo president? Do any of us know? Why would we? We do a video games podcast.
Yeah.
But it was like blah blah here, and it just
Yeah.
came across as this real like like the loudspeakers in the dystopian cyberpunk
Yes.
future
Yeah.
announcing
The Big Brother.
it was time
Yeah.
to go home.
It
Yeah.
reads to me as like every single person who works in that company, the Twitter account is logged in on their computer. So
Oh, yeah.
anyone can get on at any
Yeah, yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You can get on whenever you want. You can post whatever you want. But the rule is you have to clearly state
Yeah.
who within the company is sending this tweet.
Yeah.
Good rule.
Yeah.
Cool rule.
Yeah, that looks like it could be cool, and it's not the same thing, and it wasn't in this, but that Metal Slug Tactics game,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we forgot to mention last week, even though it was shown at the Summer Games Fest, and there's a demo of it out now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
that you were telling me before.
Yeah, so I downloaded it while I was away on my Steam Deck, and I went to play it, and they haven't optimized the demo for the Steam Deck yet, because when you start it, you have to put in your name, and it wouldn't bring up the on-screen keyboard for me.
Oof.
So I was unable to type in a name, and it won't let you continue unless you've typed in a name.
That's pretty
Good
good.
stuff.
They're farming your data, man. If
Yeah.
that you're the product. But also last week we forgot to talk about. I wanted to mention this that I don't know how we missed talking about. I did see it at the time at Summer Game Fest. The trailer for Skate. Did you see this with Tim Robinson?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
The game looks sort of rough to me, and apparently it is an online game focused. It is everyone skating together online, which is pretty different to those original 3 Skate games, which were kind of the like, here's a little more realistic alternative to Tony Hawk.
I'll tell you what, fucking impossible to play.
Yeah,
like they
right.
were such an intense, like realistic simulation. You had to
Right.
be across every aspect of it, and like it was like fucking QWOP or something. Like I just you have to use all of your brain at once, and I was unwilling to.
That's not for you. 10% at a time. That's me.
But it
Lucy
is
style.
It is odd that like Tim Robinson was doing the trailer for this game that is like a serious.
Well, so I don't think it is anymore, is
Right.
the thing. That's the
Right.
tonal change. It reminds me of Amped, the
Yeah.
snowboarding game, how at some point they were like, this is the wacky one, actually.
Right.
Yeah,
The first
this-
one was like, snowboarders and like the cool music and whatever, but they got like comedically silly later on.
Yeah, sure.
Which this appears to be for that Skate game, which, I don't know. And it was just weird seeing Tim Robinson pop up and be like, oh, you're funny.
Yeah,
Good for you, man. Make that bag.
that's right. Secure that bag.
Anyway, yeah, that's sort of a Darkest Dungeon 2 they showed a bit of, but
That's an
been
existing game.
known about
Yep.
forever.
Yep.
Added some stuff to Switch Online, or are adding it soon. I'm not sure which one.
Yep.
Metroid Zero Mission, which is the Game Boy Advance port of the first game that is like a remake of Metroid 1.
Perfect Dark.
Four Swords.
yes.
Zelda Four Swords, which is like the co-op GBA one that also has a Link to the Past.
Yep.
Turok for the N64, which is not a good game
Yeah.
on the 64. But then, Perfect Dark
Yeah.
is fucking, that's cool.
It's back, baby.
Yeah.
The Joanna showed up at Xbox's thing and Nintendo's thing.
Yeah.
It's so mad that her name's Joanna.
Joanna Dark.
Joe.
Joanna Dark!
Joanna Dark.
I fucking loved Perfect Dark on the 64, and it's got online multiplayer in this Switch Online version, so that's cool as hell to me. It looks like it's the original 64 version too, not like that sort of Xbox Live Arcade
Yes.
release thing.
Yeah.
Which
There were some edges to those polygons.
oh yeah, I love them polygonal looking
yeah.
guns, man.
Yeah.
It's triangles really do it for me.
I'm pretty keen to go in on Turok just to see. I remember even for the era
Yeah.
when, that was kind of, all you could get. People being like, fuck me, there's a lot of fog in this game.
Yeah.
Like that was, people kind of gave that sort of stuff a bit of a pass because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, there's only so much that the hardware can do. But I'm keen to see like how much it would stick out now.
Yeah.
Like how egregious that it would feel now that we've like moved
Yeah.
on from having to have, because I remember you would see, it really did feel like you would only see a dinosaur when it was like a foot in front of you.
Which kind of effective in a way of like, oh fuck, there's a dinosaur running at me out of the fog. But it was the controls with that 64 version that they hadn't figured out how to do. Well, they had it with GoldenEye, but maybe it came out
Oh, it's
slightly before
pre-GoldenEye. It was really early.
And it was like the C buttons were to walk around and the left stick was to aim, and it just didn't feel good.
Oh, yeah.
But that
That's
may well
right.
be fixed on this in some way. Phantom Brave, the either Lost or Last Hero.
The Lost Hero.
The Lost Hero. Which is like a tactical RPG thing. There was a PS2 one of those. I don't know anything further than there, Your Honor.
No, neither.
Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
7 games.
Whoa.
6 of them are like fighting games, which goes from like, I'm gonna do this. Watch fucking
Yep.
this.
All right, strap
Watch
in.
this drive.
X-Men Children of the Atom. X-Men versus Street Fighter. Marvel superheroes.
Okay.
And whether or not that's versus Street Fighter or not.
He's in a water trap.
Capcom versus Marvel.
Okay, he's
Or
back on the
other way around.
back on
Marvel
the
versus Capcom. Marvel versus
fairway.
Capcom 2. And I'm missing one in there somewhere. And then also there's The Punisher, which was the first Capcom cross Marvel game. And it's a beat 'em up thing.
Well, you sound
Okay.
like the perfect audience for this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all
You
right.
should buy it if only to find out what that one you can't remember is.
Yeah, dude.
That's the best way to find that out.
I like ROMs.
Yeah.
They've done a bunch of these sort of Street Fighter collections and stuff before, but
Yep.
they do them well.
Yep.
And it's good to have games in place.
I assume there's a little, gallery section of concept art and all
you
that
better
kind of
believe
shit.
you're getting half-finished drawings of Cyclops, brother.
Yeah.
They're out there.
Yep.
Well, they're in there. Jerry. Super.
Mario Party.
Wait your turn.
Well, what are we up to
Super
now?
Mario Party Jamboree.
I wanted to say Jamboree. Jamboree!
Super Mario Jamboree Party.
From here, it does look like the start of Party, and your handwriting says Dad. Super Mario Dad.
Super Mario Dad Jamboree. Fuck, I'd play that. Bunch of Mario dads.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. We've seen the baby versions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What about
true.
the dad versions?
Yeah.
Someone had to fuck someone to make Mario.
Well, we
Well,
saw them in the movie. We saw
exactly.
his weird uncle and his fucking
yeah.
cousins and shit.
We saw Uncle Jumpman, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
don't do it or we'll bitch about it. Super
We saw
Mario,
him hanging out with the Sushi Mango Boys in the family home in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Super Mario Party Jamboree is a new Mario Party game.
Now,
That's right.
I do not get what this is because they've made a new Mario Party for the Switch. They've also made
Which was some time ago now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then they did a second one that was like a best of Mario
Yes.
Party on the Switch.
Yeah, like All Stars or something
And
like
I
that.
think this is like another best of.
is it?
I
No,
don't think
this
it's
is just
brand
a new Mario Party game. I could be wrong.
It's 5 new board games and 2 from previous ones.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So
yeah.
this is truly what we were. This is true last 6 months kind of shit.
Oh,
I guess,
putting
yeah.
together a Mario Party game is exactly the thing of like I don't care, and
Yep.
these seem easy to make
Yeah.
as someone who can't make a video game.
Sure.
But I don't really
But if
get.
I could, I bet I could make a Mario Party.
Yeah, just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's the biggest Mario Party game in terms of the content that's in it. But
Okay,
you know,
right. It does seem a
Hey.
bit like,
big
I don't know.
party.
This could just be a DLC pack for
yeah,
the Superstars, I think it was called.
right,
Yeah.
The Mario After Party.
yeah.
Well,
that's
Mario Super Mario Kick-Ons.
Yeah, you're just doing all these games in a kitchen of
Yeah.
someone you don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going to skip the next one that came out chronologically because I want to talk about it for a while.
that's smart.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Just Dance 2025.
Wait, you're also skipping the Nintendo Switch Lite Hyrule Edition.
Well, that's connected.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
So Just Dance 2020. So I am, yes.
Yeah.
Just Dance 2025. Everyone knows what that is.
Yep.
They showed some more Lego Horizon Adventures.
Yep.
Looks like a good fit for the Switch.
Yep.
Weird thing, but good for them.
They're porting Stray.
Could hopefully
Yeah.
be cool. Yeah, Stray's going on there, which makes sense. Looked worse, which makes sense. That Tales of the Shire game. Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, which is very cool. They've done a bunch of these Ace Attorney sort of compilation games, which the Ace Attorney games are fun.
Yeah.
And this is Miles Edgeworth Investigations and 2,
Oh, yeah.
which has not been ever translated to English officially before.
Ah, cool.
Both of them DS games originally,
Right.
I believe. Maybe 3DS, one of them. But yeah, it's a brand new game technically for the West.
Sweet. Yeah.
In English. So that's a bit of all right.
Yeah. Famously on this podcast, we love detective games.
I love. I think I could be one in real life.
Yeah, me too.
I truly do believe it.
I think I could, not you.
I think I could,
not
and I think
convinced.
not you. So it sounds like we need to have like detective competition over the same crime.
Ooh, okay.
See who ends up solving it first. We
Yep.
both just arrest the wrong people
Oh,
and
God.
kill a new person by mistake.
It was Adam Knox.
It was Benvenel.
I said it first. I win.
J'accuse, that's detective lingo.
Objection.
I've just realized how annoying it would be to be a detective. You know how we find it tedious with podcasting? How it's like,
Right.
literally anyone can do it. It's like, that's what everyone thinks about being a cop and detective because they've watched the
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
shows and figured it out at the same time as Detective Stabler.
You need to
and
know
gone,
a ton
"I
of
can do
stuff
this."
about the law, proper procedure. You've already tainted the evidence there. Well, I needed
didn't
to
read 'em
piss
their
and the
rights.
murder happened in a toilet. What, am I meant to go to another building? The 100 something.
The 100
The
line.
100 Line Defense Academy, which
yeah.
is by the people who did Danganronpa.
Right.
And is a... the concept sounds cool. You've got 100 days to defend a line.
Right.
Same, so like a World War II thing then.
No, it's
Fuck.
I don't know the particulars, but it's like the similar to the Danganronpa games, I believe, where sort of your decisions along that time will make characters live or die.
Right.
It looked like it was a little bit sort of tactical stuff.
It's out next year, so we've got more time to figure out what it is.
Yeah, thank God. Luckily, we're not recording a podcast about it today.
No.
Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, which is a remake of an old game.
Yes.
I've not played a Romancing Saga game ever in either video game form or in real life. I'm just more of a couple of convenience saga type of guy.
Revenge of
Friends.
the Seven.
That's not true. I'm just
Friend
trying to make
Saga.
a joke. Yeah. Friend Zone Saga 2.
This is like a turn-based game.
It's an RPG.
Yeah,
sort
turn-based
of thing.
RPG.
Yeah. And then
And then I'll be damned. Dad went out for cigarettes
years
all those years ago, and he actually came back.
Yeah.
7 years ago. It was announced in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that first E3 after the Switch had come out
Yep.
with just a logo.
I went out, I bought some cigarettes. They weren't turning out well. I had to go back and remake the entire set of cigarettes.
Yeah.
They showed
I bought
Metroid
menthols by accident, so I had to go back.
Metroid Prime 4 Beyond
Yeah.
was the one last thing of the show, the kicker, before the other thing that we've skipped over that I want to talk about last. if
When
it's
I was
okay.
reading just the catch up notes on this online, and I just my eyes just skimmed over Metroid and Beyond, I thought, fuck, don't tell me they're doing, when they announced Dread.
Yeah.
People were like,
yeah.
that was a great game, but I think it really, to begin with, caught people off guard, where people were like, where the fuck is any sign of Prime 4?
It was strange.
And the bringing out a 2D one felt like a bit of a consolation or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just thought this was like a new thing again. And I was like,
right.
don't tell me they're doing this again.
No, just the subtitle, which 2 had Echoes, 3 had Corruption. This one's Beyond. Metroid Prime 4 got shown. It exists.
Yep.
It looks an awful lot like that remake of the GameCube game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Visually, it is, limited by the Switch, but it being a 2025 game that is as high profile as I think Metroid Prime 4 is.
Yeah.
Maybe people don't give a shit anymore, but I think surely Metroid still has something to say.
I mean, if you're a Nintendo guy or girl, of course, absolutely. I think it's still it's a top tier.
It's hard to tell
franchise.
because we are in the bubble, and it
Yeah.
seems like, people are...
That's how we get under small spaces. You
Yes.
gotta get into that bubble.
Yes.
Crunch
People
yourself
are
down.
like... it feels like people are constantly clamoring online for more information about this and wondering where it is, but I do wonder if that necessarily translates to
Like mass
to,
market.
to them being able to bank on this as like a system seller. But it
Right.
really, I mean, also for something that is of this visual style, and if you're going to show off with some new hardware, this is probably the one to do it with.
But
so
then their opportunity to show off with new hardware does not seem to be being capitalized on by this game in particular, because it does still look limited by the Switch, but it looked full on like a bloody Metroid Prime game.
yeah, that's the thing, for hearing how how kind of difficult the development's been and them having to restart it. It seemed like maybe it would be maybe this was true at one point, that it was trying to do too much, like it was trying
Right.
to really like break out of what the formula of a Metroid Prime game is. And so maybe they did but it was funny to see to know that it's taken this long to make.
Yeah.
And then see it and be like, yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Yep.
know. Which makes sense, because a lot of that time was on effort put towards something that didn't pan out.
Yeah.
And
So
is
apparently,
gone.
I just saw in the little summary, 2019 is when they restarted development.
Right.
So they have
Okay.
had 4.5 years.
Sure.
And this just felt like a total at this point, more of like a proof of life than anything else. Just like, we got to get these idiots off our back. Here's a very tiny, I mean, it was cool to see like a smidgen of gameplay, but basically Samus just going through like one tiny little corridor area, and then like a cutscene interaction of like, I assume the antagonist.
It's a guy from the DS game, Hunters.
Yes.
I forget the name, but yeah.
So a bit of a reveal of like, here's who you're up against. No proper date, no real information about any of the setting or the story or anything like that.
It certainly looks what a Metroid Prime 4 would look like if you were to imagine it. And I'm still super interested, but I have to admit it was a little deflating to see it and be like, Oh, yeah, right, of course.
I mean,
Right.
I think it was.
And the environments look nice, and it was like, it looks like Metroid Prime, and I love those games. So,
Right.
I was surprised to see it just because, a lot of people, I'd seen a lot of stuff online of like, I think we'll see bit of Metroid Prime 4 and it'll be a cross-platform thing. And I really believe that it'll be a cross-platform thing. But the fact that they had said, we're not going to say anything about the successor in this made me think they're not going to show it off until they also show off the successor and go, this is coming, this is coming out on both.
Maybe so. And surely whether it comes out on both as distinct separate games or if it is just that the Switch 2 is backwards compatible and like, hey, play it on the Switch 2 for this extra level or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
They've done that with some like Game Boy Color games on the Advance in the past.
Better
and stuff
frame
like
rate if it's on the Switch 2, possibly. Yeah.
But it looked like Metroid Prime 4, and it's great that thing isn't going to be cancelled. It seems 2025.
Yeah.
I want to play a new Metroid Prime game.
Yeah.
You'd assume that closer to it, they're putting out 2 and 3 as well.
I mean, I really thought that is what we would get out of this direct would be shadow drop of 2 and or 3. Well, not or. 2
and
although
3 out
the way they
today.
do things, just 3 out today.
Yeah.
2 we're putting onto the 3DS.
Yep.
Maybe that DS game sort of redone a bit if the villain is from that one, and who knows? But very cool in one way to see it, and another one of like, it's been so long that I think my expectations were maybe unmeasured.
Yeah.
And a little over the top.
I've still not played a Metroid Prime game, I don't think. Maybe back when I had a Wii, I might have played
3 was the
3?
Wii one.
Yeah. But I just genuinely have no memory of it. This did nothing to win me over. Like, I'm not against it by any means, but I was like, oh yeah, cool, like a first-person Switch game. Yeah.
If you're not into the world already, nothing about the design of this is really like, whoa, what's going on here? It is very like, and I don't mean this as a diss, but it's like very, generic style looking enemies and like it looks cool, but it's not a like.
And it looks like a first-person shooter, is what you'd imagine, but they don't play like that, and that's not what they are.
Right.
They're get this, Metroidvanias.
Interesting. How could I have known? It kind of looked like an old Halo game, honestly.
Yeah.
3 especially, for whatever reason, did seem a little more Halo-y than the first 2 did. Like the way it sort of, they ended up bringing in like some, Space Force. I forget what they called it, but like it kind of weirdly was, in a way that I didn't, that I preferred the original, but if it plays as well as any of those other 3 did, Mamma Mia.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I hadn't ever played any of the Primes. I don't think I've maybe played like a tiny little, like you've been a tiny little bit of the one on the Wii.
Right.
And then playing the re-release of 1 a year ago, whenever it was, really got me pumped up for, like, really got me in.
1 is a fucking awesome game.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's really very good.
Okay.
Did you play any of the 2D ones ever? Super Metroid, maybe?
I think only Super Metroid,
Okay. Right.
And it was fun, and I played it after I'd played all of the successes in that genre.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I like that, and I'm down for generally Metroidvanias, but yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest surprise and the most interesting thing to me, and the thing that I really didn't expect and I'm very excited for, is a Hyrule Gold Switch Lite.
Yeah!
My fourth
It's got the
Switch.
logo on it.
Yeah, on the back.
Yeah.
That is coinciding with...
You can get this and then trade it in 3 months' time when the successor comes out.
Yeah. What do I get for 3 Switch Lights? Because I get a 2.5 or
A concerned look,
Joy-Con?
maybe. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah.
Now, I really could not tell if you were holding this off on this because you wanted to like go against the grain and like really trash it.
No.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of a contrarian? Because that's what I am.
agreeable.
Just normal. Just agreeing.
If ever anyone's being
go with the
contrarian,
flower.
I want to be a
sheep.
flow goer.
Yeah.
No, I just like...
sheeple.
I fucking love Zelda. Those games are great.
Yep.
And this is a new one.
Yeah.
So like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are great. They're sort of different. The 3DS one that was called
Link Between Worlds.
Bang On.
Yep.
Was also fucking awesome.
It's so good.
And this is the one, this reminds me most of that one.
Right.
It's using the art style from that Link's Awakening redo.
Yes.
Which is a very cool and unique art style.
I loved it.
I loved it too, and I'm really happy to see that this is like kind of not necessarily canonizing is the wrong word, but you know, it was kind of this weird thing of let's remake this game in this and make it look like a little toy diorama set for sort of no reason.
Right.
So it is cool to now have this umbrella of like, oh, this art style of Zelda is sort of its own thing that maybe they could do even some, you know, maybe now when they do top-down Zeldas, this will just be the art style that they use moving forward.
I remember in fucking 2011 or 12 or whenever it was that A Link Between Worlds came out, 13 maybe, 14, 15, 16. I think it was 13. The thing in my head of like, oh, awesome, there's going to be these two branches of Zelda. Of the Breath of the Wild main ones and then these handheld separate ones that are cool and try something different each time and whatever.
Right.
That obviously isn't the way it's gone for the last 10 years, but now it is.
Yeah.
This is exactly
so this
that.
is called Echoes of Wisdom. It is you play as Zelda,
Link's
like
fallen through
mysterious
a hole.
little rifts open up, and I had the kind of like the backwards experience of just like reading about this before I watched the trailer, and I have to say, just kind of reading that as a logline, I kind of got the impression that it would be like. I was like, oh, that's cool, but it seemed like it would maybe be a bit of like a scaled down experience, or it was maybe like and also just the fact of like, you know, when it's coming out on the console as well seemed like maybe just a little bit of a rushed out or very like simplified, maybe like a version of Zelda for kids. But then watching the trailer, it seems like this really, it kind of seems like this cool thing where they've taken almost like the Ultra Hand ability, like some of the powers that you would have in Tears of the Kingdom, and applied them to like a more simplistic top-down style of the Zelda game.
It seems, like what Tears of the Kingdom is to 3D Zelda, it's that to 2D Zelda.
Yeah.
In a way, where the main thing is that you play as Zelda and they were like, we want it to be different then.
The little green guy.
Oh, you've got a lot to learn. It's the little purple girl.
This should be called The Legend of Link then.
Technically,
if you're going to flip it.
Well,
The Legend of Zelda, The Legend of Link.
There was the Legend of Zelda Adventure of Link was 2. So if this was the Legend of Link Adventure of Zelda,
yes,
you can understand why they wouldn't name it that. But you're
can't.
right.
This would be a thing where we you see like the headline go around later today. This is what it's called in Japanese,
and it'll be that. Yeah. It's
those fucking dumb Westerners wouldn't have got it.
It's Zelda's point of difference is that instead of swinging a sword and stuff, she has a magic staff.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense that it's like, oh, well, that adds to the puzzle solving and the platforming.
And it's such a cool sounding mechanic.
It
where
sounds sick, yeah.
You can take seemingly any sort of object or enemy in the game, get a reading of it, add it to your catalog, and then put them out wherever you want in the
Yeah,
world.
that's crazy.
So if there's a chair, you can go, boom, I've touched the chair, now I've got chair.
I've got
And
chair
if you
power.
walk around the world, you can plonk as many chairs as you want, seemingly. Maybe there's a limit of 5 or whatever.
Make a platform to climb up, put it in water to be able to. The first
Zip
example,
up a goblin and then spit out goblins to fight for you.
Weapons and bombs, and they the first example that they use is like the table.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you remember this from the trailer, but they kind of just hang on the table for ages. They just show you like 8, and I was like going. So is like the table the only thing that you can replicate in this game? Because they just show you about 8 different examples of you using the table, and then they get into like the bit where they're like, oh, and you can then copy an enemy and have it fight alongside you. I was like this, and they've got like Anuma's kind of commentating the trailer, and he's like, there's. This is the bit that made me go, oh fuck, they've just made a 2D Breath of the Wild where he's like, the experience of playing the game will be different for everyone. There's so much stuff you can copy and replicate and ways you can do things in the game that I haven't. He's like, I haven't even counted them yet.
I don't know how many there are. And it's like, the development's in trouble then. You should probably have that information.
There's just one. It's the table, okay? I'm sorry. It's just one.
They should call it the Legend of Table.
But again,
they do in Japan.
This feels like Wonder being announced last year with sort of a similar lead time to coming out where, last year we thought was the last year of the Switch, and it was like, oh, cool, we're getting this really vibey 2D Mario in the final days of the Switch. That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. And then they've pulled the same trick again with Zelda. Like, to still be bringing out this kind of creativity in the very, very final days is like pretty remarkable.
This is my favorite shit that Nintendo does, where it's like kind of not precious with their stuff, willing to go like, we'll just do a new thing and break it and have some fun new idea that we'll build a game around. And it's a Zelda game, but we can fuck with whatever. But with the sort of familiar theme songs that people like.
And it's cool because I feel like people have been, there was such a huge rumor in the lead up to getting more information about Tears of the Kingdom that Zelda would be playable in that. It's kind of something that people have wanted for such a long time. So for it to finally materialize, and not just in a very, I feel like if she had have been in playable in Tears of the Kingdom, it might have been a bit like, surface level, like she's just a skin, or she's got like one like different, slightly different ability or whatever. But to build this whole mechanic around that seems like to me, it looks so much more interesting and exciting than if this was just like a traditional top-down Zelda game where you play as Link, where he's maybe got like one or two new abilities. It seems so. It can't be. It's not the same. It's Hyrule. It's not the map from Link's Awakening. But again, it just being set in, I assume,
because it's
it's like the same world, kind of.
Similar art style as well, and same look in Ganon and all of that stuff. So I assume there's something where they're like, it's in this one. But the main thing is like when they have a cool idea and they build a game around it and fuck with stuff like that, it tends to go pretty well with Nintendo. And this style of thing of having your B game that comes out in a similar, like to keep your big franchises up or whatever, but it's essentially you could have put anything on this. It's a gameplay mechanic that would have fit with any puzzle game. Or any art style or whatever. It's as video games get harder to make and they take longer and development cycles balloon and all of that stuff, I think this sort of thing is such a cool way of like the Lego Horizon thing as well, honestly. Like put out something that's experimental using your safe franchises if that's what you're only going to make.
This is the sort of thing that when they do it so well, and I wish they did it more because they seem to be a little more free with giving over Zelda. Like they, obviously the with doing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, those teams were given so much freedom. They had the Hyrule Warriors, and then the follow on to that was set in the Breath of the Wild world. I kind of wish they did that more with like their other IPs. Like if they're not going to do anything with Star Fox, like give someone else who's got a pedigree for that kind of game the keys to it,
Yeah, and like you said about Mario Wonder, it's like there have been heaps of Mario games coming out for years, but it didn't feel like it because so many of them were that new Super Mario Brothers type of thing, which was pretty repetitive, pretty formulaic. And then they do Wonder, and even though like it's pretty fundamentally the same thing, it feels fresh, and there's some ideas in it that are like, hey, look at this. We've gone to some, not maybe back to the drawing board. We've had another look at it.
We've remembered all these sick old isometric Zelda games and gone, what if X?
What if it was fun?
Yeah.
What if we had new idea?
Yeah.
So I'm excited as hell for that one. It was like a huge surprise to me. And it's out in like fucking September or something, I think.
Like I said before, I played the Link's Awakening remake and loved it. I think this is, like maybe the one thing from the whole direct that I'm really like, I'm going to buy that day one. But but
because even if that'd be like
that's enough.
Because you've probably got the least out of the three of us. Obviously, Zelda automatic lock on.
I just remember fucking loving the one, Link's Awakening, and being so impressed by it.
Such a cool look, such a cool visual style, and like I'm excited to enjoy that more without my miserly like, well, this is a Game Boy game hanging over my own head.
Well, you just literally had played it before, so
a guy named Damocles holding a sword over his own head, being like, but exactly. Like this is a brand new thing in both. A new Zelda game and a new idea for them, which is my favorite type of idea and magazine. And like the new idea, it looks cool. I'm into it.
Even just and that Mario RPG both look cool to me, and that was honestly and for how like interesting they both looked to me. That was so much more than I expected from this direct. I expected that Mario Party, that Donkey Kong. I expected that to be the extent of it. So to get two things that are as surprising and I think visually interesting and like
two new first-party games.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Coming out this year. Exactly. I thought it was going to be an absolute whatever the opposite of a year of Luigi is. A bad year.
A year of Waluigi.
Yeah.
But like, oh yeah, it would be. And seeing Metroid Prime 4 was very cool in one way, but in another, it's like, it's been so long that it's almost like the excitement part of it separate from the game, which is part of what these things are a little bit, is like going, we look at that, is never going to be able to hit because it's just
I agree.
been so long.
It was cool for it to just finally be like
more of a relief.
Yeah, it is a
People
game.
go,
It is
"Here
going to
we go."
exist. Yeah,
Even though you were like, personally, I would have rather have seen it in a package for the next Switch and be like, this is coming out year one, day one, and look how cool, and see a bit more of an expansive look at it. But yeah, also just cool to see that like, oh, okay, it is actually on some form of track.
Because even though they had to restart it, it feels like the game they were trying to make years ago. So it almost feels like it's out of date in a weird way, which is obviously completely unfair because I haven't played it. But yes, part of it with the Switch 2 coming up was like, oh, we're going to see something really different, and it isn't that. But I'd still want to play it, and it very likely could be good. But that fucking Zelda game, dude, that was the thing I was going to say. I think I already kind of mentioned it. But if that was just some indie game that someone had come up with, I'd be stoked about it too.
Yes, for sure.
But the fact that it's a new Zelda game with that cool art and you play as Zelda.
Yeah. For me, it goes...
Wowie zowie.
It goes that number 2, and then number 1 most exciting thing, Funko Fusion. I think we all agree on
Of course. Well, the reason we skipped over that one is because we'll obviously do 4 or 5 episodes dedicated to that. One for every room of Funko Pops that we have in our houses.
Yeah.
I was going to look this up. I didn't. But how many have they made? Individual Funko
Oh,
guys?
God.
Would you
I would
like to
love to know the
guess?
answer
In
if
the
it's
thousands.
there. Do you think so? They do it with everything, and there are variants
They've
on
been
each
around
one.
for a long time, you're right. They do it. There's hardly. We might be the only media property left that hasn't been turned into Funko.
Because they go like, here's Freddy Krueger, here's Sleepy Freddy Krueger, here's Angry Freddy Krueger.
Oh, here we go.
It's got to be a big
All right.
number.
Yeah.
I've got it. I've got the number. Or as of the 9th of September 2023, I have the total number.
Well, that's
Time they
probably
did a
already
Funko
like
census.
wildly out of date.
Yeah, true. No, that is genuinely probably true.
Okay, let's just both shoot a number out. What do you
Are
think?
we doing closest or Price is Right rules if we go
Closest
over
without going over.
Okay.
Close without going over. Okay.
2,600. I've probably gone over. But there was a big reaction.
Yeah.
If you say okay, good.
6,023.
6,024.
Both of you are way under.
Holy fuck.
Really?
I'll give you a secondary
We got to have
guess.
another crack now.
Yeah.
That we know
Way
that.
under.
Way
And
under.
you said 6,000?
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. And there's only 20 levels in this? No, anyway. What the fuck? Okay, 11,000.
14,500.
Oh, Adam wins. The number is 13,741.
Holy fucking
Jesus.
shit. And they've had 6+ more months since then.
Yeah.
But so mine probably is closer now.
Yeah,
Yours is
could
before,
well be.
Nearly
House
a
of the
year
Dragon
on.
Season 2,
Yeah.
Fallout on Amazon, like plenty
good
of their
point.
sort
Bunch
of
of more
bread
like
and butter.
Marvel and Disney shows. Yeah.
Holy fucking
Jesus
moly.
Christ.
So and surely there is at least one person who has every single one
Oh
of
my
them.
god!
Yeah.
I read a thing
In
the
the
other
world.
day about how there are animals in the middle of jungles where they find microplastics in their droppings.
Yeah.
And Funko is why.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every man's cum has microplastics in it. Was the headline I saw.
We got a different news sources.
Would you guys want to talk some games?
Yes.
Because I really need to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
I would love to highly recommend an indie game that came out in the past month. I played the demo for it at last year's Steam Next Fest, or at least the previous Steam Next Fest. They might be 6 monthly. Indika is the game.
Mm-hmm.
I remember at the time saying it was a terrible demo, but not necessarily reflective of the game.
Sure.
Because it is a linear puzzle narrative game.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that think of Inside, but 3D.
Okay.
Like it has that sort of ominous atmospheric style. It has more of an actual narrative that you can follow. There's actual characters with dialogue, but it is very much a ascending in difficulty series of puzzles and like cool cutscenes. Like, it's well edited. It's very cinematic, and yeah, has a very interesting story to tell about like faith and sacrifice and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 4 hours long, 5 hours maybe.
Sure.
I just recommend it. I wouldn't want to spoil anything about the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're playing this nun who has sort of weirdly similar to Hellblade, sort of like voices that are interacting or sort of like guiding you to interact with the world around you.
Okay.
But yeah, it is a lot of like puzzle platforming, and yeah, it's very creative. It's very, very creative in the way that it is presenting puzzles to you, and integrating it with this really good like adult narrative that I loved it.
Okay, cool.
It's definitely going to be one of my games of the year. I thought it was fantastic.
It sounds good, and it sounds like I would like it.
I think you would, yeah. I think you would at least find it very interesting.
Yeah, right.
The puzzles aren't like super hard, but I feel like it just exists in this whole cohesive, comprehensive sort of experience.
I've seen other good things about it too.
Yeah.
Similar to, and one of those ones where it's a bit difficult to talk about it because you sort of have to talk around it as it's so short, and it sounds like the creativity of it changing and going in different directions or whatever is part of what you want to avoid knowing about.
Totally, absolutely, yeah. Like, I think the trailers that are out there are so like almost like impressionistic. They're not really sure. It's not like, okay, and here's a slice of gameplay from the first level. It's like imagery and cuts and bits from the cinematics.
2 pieces of information about visual style, and nothing about what it actually feels like to play from it, which is obviously by design of the marketing team.
It also has a lot of that sort of metatextual stuff of like, well, this task that you're going to be forced to do is really repetitive and boring, but it is reflecting this period in this person's life.
Sure.
You know, so it's doing interesting stuff with the medium that I found, really interesting as well.
Sick.
So,
I want to give that a wiggle. There's been a bunch of indie games that have come out lately that are interesting to me.
Yeah.
Some of which I'll get around to soon. But you said you needed to go to the toilet, so I will be brief about this. But I've been playing Urination Simulation. It is a relaxing, relieving game.
Just
it's
feels
so easy.
You
just
let
let it all go.
Relaxing your groin muscles.
This is awful.
Do you know what's funny as
This
well?
is so cruel.
There's got to be some people who need to piss listening to this too, who I am also impacting.
Probably
Well,
they're
I
like
feel no sympathy for them because they can just pause it.
Well, they could be driving. Often people are listening on public transport, so we don't want to drag this out any further than we have to.
I played the Alan Wake
You can
2.
just go piss, Tommy. Come back.
No, I'm at work. It's okay.
Alan Wake 2 Night Springs is what I played. It's the DLC that came out the other day for Alan Wake 2 Springs. Night Springs.
Oh, yeah, like a rushing
like
brook.
a
babbling
brook,
brook.
like a beautiful ocean to just...
I'm going to turn into like one of those Amazon employees who has to wear a nappy to work.
God.
It's
Good?
three short little... Yeah, I liked it. It's 3 short little stories that are like pretty inessential. If you didn't really like Alan Wake 2, I don't think there's anything here for you to like absolutely have to come and re-examine or whatever.
Right.
But 3 different characters from the Wakeverse having like these sort of themed short mini episodes of like some little story with some shooting stuff to do that changes some mechanics and stuff from, you know, the characters you were playing as in regular 2. And I think they do the tone and the theme for each of these characters really well. They're sort of in the format of a Twilight Zone episode, which was Night Springs in the show. I mean, in the game was the show that was Twilight Zone.
Right.
That Wall and Door is hosting. And I feel ludicrous saying that name every time. The writing is of a similar thing to Alan Wake 2, where I really like it. I think it's like a pretty effective thing about it. It's got a lot of commentary about art and stuff like that in it that I think for me hits the right tone. Like, I won't give too much away because they're all quite short and it's mostly sort of mood and story and tone is what you're getting out of these. The gameplay stuff is in there, but not obviously as much as regular 2. But like in the first one, you're playing as that waitress character who's a big fan of Alan Wake, the writer, and it's her sort of like fan fiction playing out. And so
sure.
there's like his evil twin who's sexy but bad, and there's like all of the zombie people you're fighting are Alan Wake's haters. And so as they're screaming, instead of doing zombie things, they're all yelling like complaints at you, like his stories are too scary and weird, Mitch derivative, and stuff like that, which I had a bit of fun with.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a funny idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all like that.
Yeah,
you know?
cool.
Like creative, short ideas that are enjoyable if you're into the tone of Alan Wake 2, which I was.
Cool.
Yeah.
C+.
Anyway, I've pissed myself while telling you about that.
We haven't all played Rise of the Golden Idol yet, so let's wait until we all have to discuss
Yeah.
it.
Is that out next year or pretty soon? Or this year or
I don't
next
know.
year?
You're the
I don't
fucking
know either.
years guy.
Yeah, I know.
That's true.
I've gone wrong. Something's misfired in there.
It must be soon because there's a demo out.
I'm tempted not to play the demo in favor of playing the whole game when it comes out, is why I ask. Like,
well, it's definitely just the start of the game, so it's up.
yeah.
It's, yeah.
If it's soon, I might hold off and we'll talk about it like when it comes out even. But you can talk about the demo when you're like, obviously, hey, I can't stop you. It's a free country. You can piss yourself wherever you want.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are golden,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for you to run to the old bathroom.
Release
there.
of the Golden Stream. It's about to happen.
but have you done all the demo?
No, I think you get the first 3 little missions, and
Okay.
I've done 2 of them.
That was
Right.
the same as the first one
Yeah,
as well. I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure.
And it's just you continue on after that.
Cool.
But, it's the same as the first one, but with a different visual style and more puzzles, and I like it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
You were
Yeah.
positive about it last week as well,
Yeah.
and I was going to maybe play the demo and then had a crisis about when I wanted to play it in between.
No, it's still great, and I'm excited for the full game to come out.
Cool.
Me too.
Whenever it may be.
Yeah.
There's
It's a
no way of
mystery to
knowing.
No
us.
way of finding out.
No.
All right, that is going to do us for another week of Filthy Casuals. Get onto the Patreon. You
Yes.
can find the link at filthycasuals.com.au. We very much appreciate the listener support that we get. You get a bonus show from us every week where we talk about movies and TV shows and other stuff. We've got the YouTube channel where we've got all sorts of videos, hundreds and hundreds of them, Let's
Yeah.
Plays, all sorts of stuff.
You can go back and watch this episode.
You can.
In
Yeah.
video form.
You can
Exactly.
see how my nose is uncomfortably running during it because I'm so cold
Yeah,
that my
it's-
nose is like
Me
the
too.
capillaries and whatever happens.
Yeah.
The
Thanks.
caterpillars up my nose trying to get out. I got to push them back in.
Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time, as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals.
Oh, Tommy, I forgot to tell you the toilets are out of order here as well.
Oh, fantastic. Piss, piss, piss.
And Cat starts running towards you.